Hey everybody, it's John from Seattle Coffee Gear in the commercial kitchen, and we're going to do a video here today on troubleshooting common issues with latte art. So we're going to show some of the issues, some of the things you might see with your pours, and we're going to talk about how to fix them. So why don't we just dive right in? I'll grab a pitcher, some milk, some coffee, and we'll do some pouring. So here we go. All right, let's go ahead and pull a shot and froth some milk. And the first one that we're gonna do is what I call the white cloud. And that's where you have kind of this tan, weird colored cloud before the actual pour starts. Let's see what that looks like and then talk about a couple of the ways that can happen and how to fix it. So here we go. All right, so to show this one, I'm going to pour a heart. All right, so if we see here, we have this nice base layer that was mixed in around the outside edge, but then we have this kind of weird like tan color, and then it gets to the actual white here. So that is kind of the tan blob or white blob. It depends on how dark your espresso is and all of that. But that's what that looks like. Here it's actually pretty symmetrical, so it looks kind of okay, but oftentimes you'll see it just around like the base of the pour, but usually it's just like this kind of semi-tan, a little bit darker, not quite the white. So how is that caused? Typically, this is caused when you aren't close enough to the surface of the milk. So you're not high enough that it's getting a good mix in the cup, but then you're not low enough so that the milk is just laying out onto the surface of the drink. So it's kind of mixing and laying out on the surface of the drink, kind of doing it halfway. That's because you're not close enough. So it has enough gravity, enough speed going into the drink that it is mixing a little bit, but not quite enough to mix all the way. So then you get like this kind of tan, halfway shown design. So to fix that, you either need to have less milk in your pitcher so you can get more angle, or you just need to get closer to the cup when you start pouring. Because oftentimes what I'll see is baristas will start pouring up here instead of getting right down into it as close as they can. So try experimenting by grabbing just a way bigger pitcher so you can get super close and see if that eliminates it. And then a little bit more practice will help you to get closer with just your normal pitcher. But a quick hack to get rid of that is to just grab a bigger pitcher and then you can get super close. So I'll froth some milk and pour another one, and then we can see how that fix would look. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and transfer this freshly steamed milk into my larger pitcher here. And then I can now get super close to the surface of the milk or of the beverage here. So here we go. So this is what the proper technique would look like when I'm pouring that. So if you see there's a distinct line from the white to that base there. There's no cloud. That's because as soon as I started the pour, that white milk foam started just going right to the surface of the drink. It wasn't mixing it all into the base layer of the drink. So that's a quick hack for getting closer to the surface, is just transferring into a larger pitcher. So then you have more angle, you can get closer to the surface when you start your pour. So if you're seeing that kind of cloudiness in your pours, try doing this to just see what the difference is. But ultimately, you just have to fix your technique and get closer to that surface, either by having less milk in your pitcher, so get a correctly sized pitcher, or by having less milk waste in your finished drink. So try that to get rid of that cloud. Let's now talk about some other issues, like your pour not filling up the whole surface. So it'll be like a small pour, and some of the issues that can happen with that. So I'll reset and we'll talk about that. All right, so this next one, we're going to talk about what it looks like if your pour doesn't quite fill up the entire cup. So this is going to be if your design is small in the center of the cup, it's not filling up the entire thing. You're not getting good coverage, you could say. So 1 second here. All right, so if you see this is not a bad pour necessarily, but it is pretty small in the center of the cup. So I would ideally want this to be a little bit more spread out in every way, covering more of the surface of the beverage. And there's a couple ways that we can fix that. There's a couple things I did here intentionally to show you. So the first thing I did was I waited after steaming my milk. So I steamed my milk and then I let it sit for like almost a minute before I poured this drink. So the milk kind of separated out, some of the foam deteriorated. I swirled it back in, tapped it, swirled it back in to get it somewhat homogeneous again. But if you let your milk rest for too long before you pour, it won't be as homogeneous. It won't have that nice flow, so it won't cover as much of the surface of the beverage. The second thing that I did here was I filled the cup up more before I started my pour. So there is more basically surface tension at that point. So it was harder for the design to spread out and cover more of the surface of the finished drink here. So the two issues I had there intentionally were letting my milk sit for too long before I poured, and then filling the cup up too full before I poured as well. So if you're seeing a small design that's not covering the entire surface of the beverage, it could be that you're waiting too long before you're pouring. So you're steaming and then waiting before you pour. It could be that you're filling your cup up too full before you pour. So those are your two issues that you could run into there. Let's go ahead and reset and talk about some other issues. So this is going to be an issue of an angled pitcher. So if you see here, this pour is kind of crooked. It's kind of twisted in the cup. The handle's over here, so this is shifted to the side. And that's because when I was pouring, my pitcher was over here. It wasn't straight on. So as the milk was flowing out of it, it was flowing out at an angle, it was flowing out crooked, and that caused this pour to end up crooked here. So to fix that, you just want to make sure that your pitcher isn't crooked like this, that it's lined up. An easy way to fix that, as funny as it sounds, is actually to have someone film you pouring and have them get a video of where your hands are in orientation to each other. So then you can see if you're tilted, how you're going towards the end of the pour, and you can see what some of those issues are. So that's one issue there with just the orientation of the cup and the pitcher. Let's talk about another one, and that's kind of rotating the pitcher. So not twisting it, but rotating it. I'll show you what that looks like here. All right, so this is going to be, again, when my pitcher kind of rolls over like that, and it's easiest to see the effect of this while you're doing stacks. So here we go. So it's kind of hard to see, but you can see it on this top pour here. So if you see on that top stack and then kind of all the way throughout, this side is consistently higher than the other side, which is because my wrist, when I was pouring, was kind of angle here. My wrist was kind of rolled over like that. So it caused it to be more lopsided on the one side of it. So you want to be straight on, you don't want to be rolled over. Oftentimes you'll see yourself doing this when you get to the top. As you're finishing out the pour, you'll get kind of nervous and you'll end up making that error of rolling your wrist or twisting your pitcher. So the way to fix that, again, is have somebody film you while you're pouring so you can see what that issue is, and then you can just be a little bit more conscious of what's going on at the end of your pour. It is hard because you just did everything else super well, so you get to the very end and you're like, it's just hard to stay conscious at the end of a pour. So have somebody film you and see what your issue is there. But if you find your pours being lopsided, likely it's because your wrist is rolling or the cup itself is tilted at a weird angle. So that covers a couple of the common issues that I see with latte art pours or roadblocks that prevent people from just getting to that next level, kind of from, say, like most common up to more of the advanced issues that stop kind of the fine-tuning stuff with latte art pours. There's other stuff that can go wrong, so we might make another video of some more points there, but this will get you started in fine-tuning your latte art and making it to the next level there. So if you have questions about what we talked about in the video, leave us a comment down below. I'll jump in the comments there and try to answer some of those questions. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. Make sure to check out other videos in this latte art series we've been doing. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day.